What are you interested in over the next couple of weeks? I know in certain states, some people are going back to work in the office. Not to say that you weren't working currently, just like I've been going in and working. Some people have been working from home. And so I want to make sure that you are acknowledged from that, because I know it's not easy to work from home, especially if you have kids at home. So let me know how you're doing in this meeting today, and also with just how things are going at home. I'd love to hear what you've done to help try and relieve stress, what you've done to help try and make it through all of this difficulty and getting through what has been a pretty challenging time. And also, if you know that your state has a way to open back up, I'd love to hear those things too and see maybe what the difference is. In Colorado, I think the general plan is that next week, the governor would like for about 50% of people to try and go back into the office so that there's still the social distancing in place, but people are better equipped to do what they do from their office because they either have a better powered computer or the internet connection is more stable because they're at work instead of at home and they have a higher speed line, something like that. So people are doing that, and then that'll take place for about 2 weeks. And then I believe, because I've gotten a message from my hairdresser, which if you can see, I do have roots growing out. I shouldn't show that on live camera, but I think we're all going through it. So I think it's fine to say that and do that. I believe the week after that or 2 weeks after that, salons are opening at kind of half capacity. And the general message that we got from our hairdresser, when I say our, I have quite a few clients who also see the same gal that I see. And my sister-in-law also goes to the same gal. So what she said is that they're kind of opening on Mondays to help with keeping everybody there kind of half time, or so that people are working different days. So half the girls that do work there will be there Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Half of them will be there Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then they'll kind of flip so that the next week are working different days. So it gives everybody a chance to have some weekend days, and it has people a chance to also work non-weekend days, but so that they're able to accommodate their clients. So if you know what your state is doing, I'd love to hear it. Because it's interesting to see what's happening differently across the country. And obviously I don't have time to keep up with everybody, but it is about that time to start our typical Wellness Wednesday with essential oils. And one of the things that I want to talk to you again today about is balance in the body. And part of the reason we want to talk about balance in the body is because I think we can all use this. Balance in the body has to do a lot with how we're doing mentally, also how we're doing physically, but how all of our systems kind of work together. And so when we're looking at essential oils and what they can do for us, they are very adaptogenic, meaning that they work with your body to try and produce a better response as opposed to against your body and trying to cover up a symptom. So if you're having that happen where you're just covering up a symptom, you're not getting the full benefit of what you could see out of a particular medication. And we always want to make sure that we're doing whatever we can to support the system. So what do I mean by they help support? Basically, over time, there's been the study of Ayurvedic medicine. And what that is how things that come from the earth help support the body and give it what it needs. And if you consider where a lot of our medications are derived from, a lot of them are derived from plants, even or organisms that grow naturally. Even if you look at like penicillin was originally formed from bread mold. And that's not a pleasant thought that a lot of people want to think about, but it is true. And so when we're thinking about how things in our environment can either help us or harm us, essential oils can do the same thing, right? So if you're, like last week I talked about environmental threats at this time, and trying to balance out your response to them. And the common thing that is used for that is lemon, peppermint, and lavender. But some people have an allergy to pollen, and so they think they're allergic to lavender. If that's one that you think you have a problem with, you can substitute that out with something else like Roman chamomile or blue tansy, because those are not high common allergen products, and use them still with the peppermint and the lemon and get a great response out of them. The difference between taking, let's say, like Claritin or Zyrtec or Xyzal or Benadryl and taking an essential oil is that when you take the essential oil, you might need to take it, and then an hour or two later, take it again. And then you might need a third dose at some point in time throughout the day. But the reason you need that is because it's actually supporting the body and building a histamine appropriate response as opposed to blocking a histamine response altogether. And the histamine response is what actually causes the allergic reaction. And so when you're considering that, using flower oils is very helpful, especially in the spring, in fighting off those environmental and seasonal threats that come along during this time of year. So another thing that we commonly will ask people to try when they are doing essential oils for seasonal threats is to use an oil that also has maybe some steroidal properties. So what are those? Well, one of the most common ones that people know about is turmeric, right? Like you've heard everyone talking about turmeric and how it reduces inflammation, and it helps if you are prone to like blood clots, and it helps with natural pain relief after surgery. Those are people taking powder turmeric. I know doTERRA has a capsule that you can take that's a turmeric soft gel. They also have the turmeric oil that you could rub on like your sinuses, around the eyes, behind the ears, that kind of thing. So those are all things that you can do to help with relieving seasonal threats, environmental threats. Another one that you can do is copaiba. Copaiba is similar to cannabinoid products because it follows the same endocannabinoid pathway in your body. And what that means is it comes from a tree, and the tree grows naturally in Brazil, and that is where doTERRA sources their copaiba from. So copaiba follows that same endocannabinoid pathway and has been shown in the research to have steroidal properties of the cannabis in it, but it does not come with the THC. So if you're someone like me, or you're a nurse, or you're a physician, or you're a lawyer, and you're concerned about your board or organization coming back and saying, hey, we think everyone should start getting drug tested, and we're not going to allow any drugs in the system that look like A, B, or C. Copaiba is not one you're ever going to test positive for, and it also helps the body build an appropriate stress response to seasonal and environmental threats. So it's one that you can use very easy, very simply when you're using that lemon, peppermint, and lavender as a capsule. You can just add a little bit of copaiba to that as well, and it's a great one to help out with that. Or you could do like the turmeric drops. You can do that in there too, but a lot of people don't enjoy that flavor, but that is one that you can do. Other ones that you can do that are showing in the research to have some kind of steroidal type properties to them that help with inflammation, help with pain, help build kind of the polyphenol balance in your body that helps fight against attacks, are things like rosemary and basil, oregano, and then also wintergreen helps with inflammation. So I was talking to a friend today, her baby is teething, and he's been super fussy and chewing on everything. And this will be, I think, like his second or third tooth. He's the cutest thing. But he's been super fussy for a couple hours at a time, and then he'll be okay. And she's been using the baby teething stuff, but that also causes a little bit of numbness in the tongue. And so when my babies were babies, they said not to use that stuff because it could cause the tongue numbness, and then they drool a lot more, which if you're staying at home right now probably doesn't really matter. But if you have to go out in public, you hate to have to change your shirt every 5 minutes. So taking a little bit of a non-nut oil, because most kiddos that are teething are under age of a year, and so you have not tried nuts with them, but trying something like olive oil on the gums with the wintergreen, or almond oil on the gums with the rosemary, or almond oil on the gums with clove. Can be something that just takes down that inflammation, gets rid of some of the pain, and helps the kiddo get through that little bit of irritation moment and help them calm down. You can also try putting it on the outside and rubbing it along kind of the tooth line through the skin so that they're absorbing it. But if you're worried about them ingesting anything, then putting it on there and making sure that they're not ingesting it, but they are getting that benefit out of it. So if you've been using essential oils, I'd love to hear how you're using them. I know a friend of mine, Shannon, has gotten her oils last week, and she said she's been playing with all the different ones in the diffuser, and she just actually ordered what's called the Precious Florals kit from doTERRA. And it's awesome, you guys. It has Magnolia, it has Jasmine, it has blue Tansy, it has Nueroli, and I'm going to forget the fifth one because that's where my brain's at today. It's Wednesday. Got to work this morning at 5:30 and I got home at 6. So I'm a little out of it, so I apologize. But the 5 oils that come in that Precious Oils kit, the kit is $68. I can tell you that each one of those oils usually sells for at least $58 on its own. So that it's $68 to get all 5 is a pretty amazing deal. And it's awesome. I wore the Jasmine one last week for 3 days, just as like a perfume. And everyone just kept telling me, I don't know what it is in here, but it smells amazing in my office. They thought it was the smell out of the diffuser in my office, and it was me. I smelled amazing. And I didn't tell them that, but it's nice to hear every once in a while. And it's also one that really helps with those seasonal threats and environmental threats. So it's a nice little sweet smell that you can use to also help boost that immune response to stressors and irritants. Another way that you can boost your body's balance in looking at other things that might happen, if you're going through periods where you're having irritation with your skin, where it flares up and it's cyclical, like throughout the month, you can use things on your skin like Yarrow Comb. I have been using that on my skin. I told you guys that 2 weeks ago, using that on my skin. And what it's doing is it actually is decreasing these little brown spots here that you can see. I bought them on both sides. Well, this one's actually almost gone. It's usually right there with that little mole. But it's also smoothing out the texture of my skin, and that's my Austin in the background. And there's Alex. So it's smoothing out my skin as well. Okay, you guys go. And helping it so that when I put on makeup, the makeup goes on smoother, and I don't necessarily need a primer, which feels awesome because I don't like to have a bunch of stuff caked on my face. And also the other great thing about using the Yarrow Comb right now is because I'm not putting on as much makeup because wearing a mask, I don't want my mask covered in makeup. I'm mostly only doing my eyes. By using the Yarrow Comb, I don't actually feel like I have to put on makeup every day, which is awesome. So those are things that are also helping balance out my body because they're helping balance out skin tone and texture. And making my skin just appear prettier. Hey, Charles, thanks. They like to think that they're little hams, and they love to be on camera lately, which is funny because when they were little, they wouldn't let me take a picture. So other things that help with balancing out cyclical changes throughout the month are things like frankincense. Frankincense is one of the most healing oils you can find on the planet. It comes from a tree also in Africa, and they get it from taking out the resin from the tree, and then they boil it down into these resin blocks, and then that is pressed and diffused, and distilled for the oil that comes out of the resin. It's a very laborious process. And one of the things that I love about doTERRA is that they've gone into this area where these trees grow naturally, and they're passed down from generation to generation to generation. And they've created a community of farmers for this area in Africa, and they've helped them boost the income that they're getting from the frankincense so that they're actually finally making minimum wage and more than minimum wage. And when I say that, what I mean is, like, if you see this glass, something this size used to get them anywhere from 25 cents to $1. And this would make quite a few bottles of an essential oil for frankincense. And now for that same thing, they're getting like $2,500. So doTERRA has helped them really kind of co-op. And I'm sure you've seen that. Like, I don't know how many of you eat dairy, but if you do, you've heard about Tillamook cheese. They're a co-op of dairies in Tillamook, Oregon, that were all kind of struggling on their own and decided to co-op and become this one larger brand. And because of that brand, they're known now nationwide, and they have a really great product and people enjoy the product. And so they have cheese, they have ice cream, they have, they actually sell cheese curds. And then they do some other dairy products too, like they, during the holidays, have an eggnog and stuff like that that you would normally think of when you think of your dairy products. And doTERRA's kind of done that for frankincense farmers. They've also done it in, I believe it's Colombia, for vetiver farmers and for people who then process vetiver. So vetiver is a grass that grows, and what they do is they take the oil from the roots of the grass, and they help the grass, they help the body feel more even and grounded to the earth. And what that helps your brain do is just calm down and relax a little bit. So if you think about a yoga class, or if you do meditation and they talk about grounding yourself into the earth, same thing that you're getting out of this oil. So you're helping balance out your body through grounding through the earth, which is essentially you're taking in an oil that comes directly from the earth because it comes from the roots of this plant, which is pretty darn amazing. And then another oil that's really good for grounding, I feel like it helps people in my house ground a lot, is sandalwood. It's one of those oils that's just very smooth and consistent, and the smell is amazing. And it just kind of like, you take a deep breath of it and you go, oh, that's nice. So you can get different responses out of different oils depending on who you are as well. I know someone actually asked me the question earlier this week, why I put orange in my kids' diffuser at night, because they've always thought of orange as being a stimulant. And it is a stimulant, but it also, for my kiddos, calms down their nervous system, which helps them sleep. So different oils will have different effects on different people, and at different points in time in the day, in the moon cycle, in the month cycle, and even in what's happening in that day. So if you feel like, oh, I've tried this oil and it didn't necessarily work and I want to try something else, try it. And what I tell people a lot of times is, if you have a couple different oils, smell all the different oils, and the one that feels the most comfortable, try that one, because that's probably what you need right at that moment. It's what your body needs, and it's what it's telling you to do. And a lot of times we're not very good at just listening to our bodies. So learn how to listen to your body better, and you'll get better results out of using anything that you're using, even if that happens to be the difference between, like, for some women, they change what shampoo they use every day, and most of them just do it on a schedule. Well, what if you took that shampoo and smelled it and could tell, oh yeah, I need a cleansing shampoo today, or I need a conditioning shampoo today, based on what your body tells you it feels better with. So consider that too when you're using essential oils, and the ones that make you feel the most relaxed, those are the ones that you should be using for that balancing of your body, because those are the ones that are going to help you. Now, places to put ones that are grounding or balancing, there's always the acupuncture points right here on the wrists that you can use, because those hit a lot of the acupuncture points for the body. You can put it along your spine, and when you put it along the spine, you always want to start from the base of the spine and move up to the base of the skull so that you're getting all of that area covered. And then a lot of times as well, especially when we're thinking about if we're stressed out and we're trying to balance ourselves out a little bit from that stress, you want to put them over the adrenal glands. So the adrenal glands sit right above the kidneys, and your kidneys sit on the back, and they're accessible from the bottom of the rib cage. So if you find the bottom of your rib cage and then move towards the back, you can rub essential oils right over that spot, and you're going to be affecting the adrenal glands. And again, this is something where you might have to repeat it an hour later, and then you might have to repeat it a few hours later, but you'll get a response. And if you're not, try smelling a different oil, because maybe you need more than one. So for me, I do a combination most days of I put clove, frankincense, and lemongrass on my forehead and on the back of my neck and right behind my ears, because it helps me feel, when I feel like I'm losing focus, it helps me feel like I can focus again. But it's all three of them together. If I just did one of them, I don't get quite the same effect. So consider that when you're thinking about, do I need just one oil? Do I need two? Is it one smells good, but two together smell amazing and make me feel better? So think about those things as well, and really focus on what makes you feel good when you're using them. And again, if you're not comfortable putting on your skin, or you feel like I might have an allergic reaction to this, diffusing is always a really great way to do it. And if you don't have a diffuser, you can find them on Amazon for as low as like $15 to $20. So they're really inexpensive, and it's a really great way to change and affect everyone in your house, as opposed to just you, if you guys can all agree on the scent. Also, one last thing before I go tonight, I just wanted to tell you guys that if you're interested, all this week on doTERRA's website, it's a BOGO week. And so I'm going to type in my link here to the Facebook chat. See if I can spell my name correctly. And today's oil is Citrus Bliss. So if you buy a Citrus Bliss, which you can actually only get during this time of year, then you get a free pink pepper. And both of those are ones that are known to be very uplifting to the mood. And so during this little bit of stressful time, that uplift to your mood can be significantly helpful. And you have until midnight to get that BOGO, and then tomorrow there'll be a different one. So watch my Facebook feed or Instagram feed tomorrow for that notification, and you'll see what the BOGO is for tomorrow. And then there'll be one last one on Friday. And so if you are interested in getting that BOGO deal, today it is Citrus Bliss and pink pepper. I had to think because they're both pink. So be sure that you check that out. The link is there if you want to use it. And again, you can use that same link tomorrow, and it'll be scrolling across the top. If it's not scrolling right on the top and you're looking for it, if you go under shop and specials, it's on there as the BOGO deal. And it'll have a single oil picture. And then when you click on it, it will tell you what the free one is. But again, just watch my social media for that, and that'll be out there. And if you have more questions about essential oils and how you can use them in your health and your family and changing the way that your body reacts to your environment, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I will talk to you guys all next week. Have a great Wednesday.
Can I be playing now?
Hold on.